All right. Hello, everyone. So we had the shortest Monday Zoom call ever. And then I realized at the end that I forgot to record it. So we're redoing today's questions. There were only a few. So I guess it was a good one to forget to record and have to redo because it was pretty quick. Um, all right. So the questions today. My husband is in the middle of his 8 rounds of chemo, and we are blessed that he is not nauseous, but we are trying to eat a plant-based diet and he keeps losing weight. What do you suggest? So we talked about grains. So grains are the best way to help the body maintain and gain some weight. So certainly organic grains are best, and then gluten-free grains are preferred. You might be on a gluten-free diet as well, or limited gluten diet. And so just gluten can be inflammatory, and so we want to be mindful of that, but definitely organic. So your grains are not laced with any herbicides, pesticides, things like that. So getting grains in. So really with every meal you can get some grains in. The other thing too is calorie dense foods. So fats. So try to snack on different assortments of nuts and seeds throughout the day. You can put things that are high in fat into smoothies if you're doing a daily smoothie. So you could put avocados into a smoothie. You can put sweet potato into a smoothie. You can put coconut oil into a smoothie. So just trying to get some calorie dense foods in as often as possible. You can top foods with, things like olive oil. So if you're making some roasted vegetables, just load on some olive oil over the top and consume that. And just trying to keep those calories in. Um, Snacking throughout the day. We do have a list that, gives you some tips and some resources. So certainly if you would like that for healthy weight gain, reach out to your liaison and we can email that to you. But ultimately, it's trying to get calorie dense foods in as often as possible, to consume grains and, to just use snacks. You can use some plant-based protein powder as well. Okay, the next question. My husband has had 4 rounds of chemo. Is there anything he can do to combat the fatigue? So, the biggest thing to help with side effects of chemo is to follow the chemo protocol. So, I'm not sure if this person is actually following that or not. If people want the chemo protocol, again, just email your liaison and we can send you the chemo protocol. The goal of the chemo protocol is to protect the healthy cells and to help the chemo target the cancerous cells. And so, there's a number of different things you can do. And just, quickly, one of the things is to fast 24 hours prior to chemo. Fasting, really cancerous cells become unstable. They're not as resilient when it comes to fasting, and the healthy cells are more resilient. And so continue, to do just a 24-hour fast, and then things you can do within that 48-hour window of when you have chemotherapy, 48 hours after. We don't want you to do any major detoxing. We don't want you to be doing some of the foot baths. We don't want you to be taking high antioxidant supplements. We don't want you to be doing coffee enemas during this window because we want to maximize chemo's effect. And within that 48 hours is when it's going to do its work. So after that 48-hour mark, we really want to pull it out of the system as much as possible. So then we reintroduce those things that we had to hold off on for that 48 hours. So again, the antioxidants, the coffee enemas can be resumed, the foot bath sessions can be resumed. So all of these things to really rapidly try to detox the body to get it out of the system where it's more likely to damage healthy cells after that 48-hour point. So following that chemo protocol can help with fatigue. Really when you're taking chemo, you're damaging all cells. And so part of what is being damaged is the ATP, or excuse me, the mitochondria of the cell And the mitochondria are what produce ATP, which is what our cells use to perform their function. It's the fuel source they need to work. So when you're rapidly killing off cells, you're rapidly killing off or damaging mitochondria. And so that is likely why you're feeling that fatigue. So follow the chemo protocol, and that's the best way to protect yourselves from some of the side effects of chemo. All right, I tried to run some of the other programs on my Rife, but I got a message about a USB and something about a generator not being connected. What am I doing wrong? So it is common to have some miscommunication between the Rife machine and the computer. So first you want to make sure that the USB cord is actually connected. Sometimes it can come loose if it's bumped, and it can kind of come out of the port. So make sure everything is connected. Usually, if something is not connected and then it suddenly recognizes as being connected, you'll hear kind of a little chime on the computer indicating, oh, we've now recognized a new connection. So you should hear that chime if something goes from disconnected to now connected. So listen for that. And the other thing that you can do is just power everything down. So turn off the Rife machine and power down the computer. And you need to do a complete shutdown of the computer, not just closing it and putting it into sleep mode. So you have to find the power button, usually on the upper right or upper left corner of the, the bottom keyboard platform. Sometimes, depending on which laptop you had, the power button might be along one of the sides, the edges of the computer. So locate the power button, hold it down for at least 10 seconds, and that is going to shut everything down on the computer. Let it sit then for about 15 seconds, and then you can just tap the power button again to boot it back up. And it should cycle through the whole process of, starting up again. You should see that sign in button to click to kind of get to your desktop, and then you're going to have to click on the TrueRife icon again to get to the software. So once you've got the computer up and going again, then you can power on the Rife machine. And again, listen for that little chime indicating, okay, we've now recognized that there is a new connection. And then everything should be running and working as usual. And it is good practice to just do that whole process that I just described, maybe one time a week, just to kind of reset everything, reestablish any missed communications. And so I would, maybe just pick a day of the week where you're just going to power everything down and then reboot it back up. But that does happen where you get that message that you're talking about once in a while. It just happened to me last night. I went to turn on the Rife machine. We ran it the night before, and I went to turn it on last night, and it was telling me that the generator was null or not connected, couldn't sense it. And so I had to do that same process, just reboot everything, and then it worked fine. So that is the troubleshooting for that. Okay, are there any cases when a person should not use SEAC-T? So I know on the SEAC-T bottle, it does indicate a caution or a warning for pregnancy or nursing, breastfeeding. So in that case, you might want to check in. I don't believe that's the case with this person. So that's not a concern, but just like any herbal remedy or formula, when you're pregnant, you want to take extra precaution with what you are taking. For SEAC-T and cancer purposes, it is considered a cancer fighter, and we test for it. So if it's not part of your current protocol, it's because it didn't test as a cancer balancer, but that does not mean that it couldn't have some, other benefits for you. So there are liver supportive herbs in there, so it can be helpful for the liver. I would say, maybe the reason not to take it is if you are taking loads of supplements already. So the liver does have to metabolize and detox everything that we take, whether it's food or supplements, even though they might all be wonderful supplements. When we're taking a lot, it is a burden to the liver. The liver does have to process all of that. So maybe if you're taking a ton of supplements already, you might not want to add another one. Or, if you really feel compelled to add this one, then maybe, pick something that you're currently taking and set it aside. Or use a rotational approach so you're not burdening the system. But other than that, I mean, I don't really know of any specific contraindications. And so certainly if you feel compelled, you can try it as a cancer balancer. Might not, like I said, it might not work to fight the cancer because it doesn't work for everyone, but certainly there could be some other benefits to that. Okay, so that really was all of the questions that came in since the last Q&A Zoom call on Wednesday. So there were a couple of questions that came in over the chat. One of them was referring to the Therasage sauna and a protocol for that relating to breast cancer. And we just talked about just using it. So really the goal of the sauna is to produce sweat. And sweat helps you release toxins through the skin, and it alleviates the burden of detoxification, some of the burden of detoxification of the liver. So you're supporting the liver and you're detoxing through the skin when you are in the sauna. So really just start using it. The recommended temperature, I believe, ranges anywhere from 120 to 140 degrees. And so you might want to just start slowly. So start on the lower side of the temperature range, and then, just see how you feel. You can start at 15 minutes, work your way up to 30 minutes. So it's really just a time and a temperature thing that you'll have to kind of manage and start slowly, see how your body responds. And you could do it 3 times a week. And again, just pay attention to how you're feeling afterwards. How are you feeling during the sauna? And you have this great new tool. So I'm excited for this person to use her new sauna. And then there was another question that came in regarding inflammation. And is there a lab to test for inflammation? And the two that I mentioned were just ones off the top of my head. So one of them is C-reactive protein. So that is an inflammatory marker. So you could get that tested. The other one is homocysteine, is a marker of inflammation, can be associated with some cardiac issues. We don't want elevated homocysteine levels. And so oftentimes that is tested to see if that is elevated. So those are the only 2 lab tests that I'm aware of relating specifically to inflammation. There certainly could be other ones. I just don't know. I'd have to do a little bit of research on that. So those were the only chat questions that came in. So that is our Monday Zoom call, August 22nd. So hopefully you guys are all enjoying the end of the month and the end of summer. I mean, I don't even want to say it because it's not here yet, but all right. I hope everybody has a good day. Bye-bye.